Okay, fellas, so this is going to be, I think, our last video, our last preseason video. It's going to be runners on first and third base with less than 2 outs. How we used to handle this when we were younger, essentially less than 2 outs, we just gave that runner a free run to second base, and we didn't make that throw down. But we've got a couple of tricks up our sleeve here that we're going to try. Essentially, we have two plays. First play we're going to call Pennsylvania. It may be any word that starts with the letter P because this is going to be in play involving the catcher throwing the ball back to the pitcher. So we've got our base runners here. First thing we're going to do, we're going to hold our runners on. It's important that our corners are holding the runners on so the runners don't have a free rein of the base paths here. So the third baseman's going to be checking maybe just a little bit off the bag, not necessarily standing on the bag, to shorten that lead of the runner. What we don't want is the base runner here at third base, having his way of the baseline here. So the third baseman's going to hold that runner on just a little bit. If at some point in time it appears that the base runner at third base is getting too big of a lead, third baseman can make a sign, tapping of the glove to the pitcher, and there may be a throw over to third base. But it's important that to the extent that we can, we keep these runners a little bit closer to the corner bases than maybe they would like. Pitcher's going to deliver the ball here, and this again is our Pennsylvania play because the point of this play is for the catcher to throw the ball immediately right back to the pitcher. A couple of things are going to happen here. If this runner on third base breaks for home, then we've got a play here. What the pitcher is going to do in the event that the runner from third breaks home is that the pitcher is going to come over here with the baseball and come at the runner. So what we don't want you to do is to throw from the mound if you've got the runner hung up. You want to come at the runner, force the runner to make a commitment, and then throw to the appropriate base depending on where he makes his commitment. If the third base runner chooses not to go down the line and doesn't get hung up, he kind of waits to see what the pitcher is going to do now that the catcher's thrown the ball back to the pitcher. Then there are going to be a couple of things that happen here. If the runner from first base runs straight to second base, here, the pitcher may not have a play when the ball gets back to the pitcher, and if he sees that he doesn't have a play at third base, the third base runner is a little too smart and doesn't fall for the trick, then you're going to pivot and take a look at second base and see if you've got a play there. The shortstop's going to be covering in this particular play here, so there may be a situation where the ball gets pitched, it comes back to the pitcher, and if this runner isn't serious about getting over to the bag or kind of is using himself as a decoy, then there may be, and then realizes that the pitcher's got the ball and then sprints to second base. We may have a play at second base here, and the pitcher, once he sees that this runner is going to go back to third base or isn't going to sprint for home, will make a throw to the shortstop to get the runner at second base. If the play is available. The play may not be available, and that's okay. The worst thing that we want to have happen is that this runner end up at second and this runner at third. What we don't want is the runner getting to second base and then we miss out on the runner going home and then the runner scores. We don't have an out. I got another man in scoring position. That's not what we want. One other scenario that can happen is that this first base runner here uses himself as a decoy and kind of stops in the middle, or at least slows down well in the middle, so you don't have a play quite at the plate or at the base, either at second base or at first base. In that scenario, the ball is pitched, the ball comes back to the pitcher immediately from the catcher. You look the runner from third back, and this is when your second baseman is going to come into the play. If this base runner is just straggling along, using himself as a decoy to get you to do something to allow this third base runner to score, you're going to throw the ball to the second baseman. The reason the pitcher is going to throw the ball to second base is that once he's looking at this base runner here coming from first, he's got his back to home plate. Can't see this runner at third base here, so you want to go ahead and get that ball to the second baseman, who obviously can see both the runner coming from first base and he can see the runner coming from third base. You're going to try to run this runner back. That's going to be your first goal is to go after this runner. But if you see the runner from third base break into home, you're going to abandon the play here on the base runner and go ahead and get the out here at home plate if you can. And that's essentially going to be what we call Pennsylvania. Again, it could be any word that starts with a P because the catcher is going to be throwing the ball to the pitcher. And again, it's critical that third base and first base do the best that they can to keep these runners close to their bags. Maybe a situation where the pitcher throws back over to first base. And don't be afraid to throw over to third base. If this runner here at third base gets too big of a lead, let's go ahead and make him play it honest there. So that's going to be our Pennsylvania play. And again, the third base, first base, make sure that you're holding those runners on. Pitcher, you're going to have to make a judgment as to whether or not you've got to play anywhere. If we end up in a situation where runners at second and third, that's okay. We don't want somebody scoring and another base runner in scoring position. So pitcher's just going to have to use his best judgment. But anytime you get a chance to get this person at third base, go ahead after that. Even if this runner gets over to second base, let's go ahead and get that lead runner if we can, and we'll go from there. Second play that we have, we'll call it Syracuse. This is going to be any word that starts with the letter S, because this time the catcher is going to be throwing the ball to the second baseman as opposed to the pitcher. Corner responsibilities are going to be the same in this. Third base and first base, you're going to be holding your man on. Third base, be ready for a pickoff play or a flash, a pickoff sign to the pitcher if you think that this runner at third base here is getting too big of a lead. Again, we don't want these base runners having free or feel that they've got a free run on the base paths. And this pitch here comes down to the catcher. Catcher's immediately going to throw it straight down, not to the bag, but to the second baseman, who's going to be coming over over here. So you're going to have to give a throw that the second baseman can field. The point of this throw is to make this runner here at third think that there's a throw down, and he may have been told by his third base coach that if they throw down to second base, then you're going to sprint for home. This play here is designed to take advantage of that aggressive play by having the second baseman cut the ball off. His sole focus is going to be on the runner coming from third base. So even no matter what this base runner does, whether he stops in the middle and waits to see what happens or his full sprint to second base, if the second baseman sees that that runner from third is coming off the bag and coming down, you'll have to decide how aggressive this runner is going. If it's clear that he's got a full sprint, then you're going to catch that ball here in the infield and throw it directly down to the catcher to make the play at the plate. Maybe a situation where the runner starts to break but is watching the play and where the ball is going from the catcher and decides somewhere around here, I got a problem, let me get back to third base, or let me see what's going on. And that's going to be a situation where the second baseman is going to have to run the runner back. So that's our Syracuse play as well. If you get caught up in a situation where this base runner is taking his sweet time, then you're going to do the same thing as in the Philadelphia play. You're going to go after that runner and make a throw home if need be. And that's how we're going to play first and third.